Wife chopped my manhood off with a butcher knife. Hi, I'm Jason, and the story I'm going to share with you today is incredibly painful and embarrassing. It has to do with the way my erectile dysfunction shamed, humiliated, and almost ruined my entire marriage and life. Now, the only reason I'm willing to tell you about this is because my horrible and ongoing humiliation ultimately led me to the real root cause behind ED, which has nothing to do with low testosterone levels, according to research from Columbia University and various Ivy League universities. If you are taking testosterone supplements to eliminate your ED, most likely you have been lied to. And more importantly, in this video, you're about to discover how I managed to cure my ED for good within hours. Without 1. Male enhancement supplements. 2. Expensive heart-destroying drugs like Viagra, which is nothing for the real cause of ED. 3. Or paying $2,000 for ineffective low-T therapy. Giving me the ability to enjoy full, long-lasting erections literally on demand. And giving my wife back the vital and powerful man she had been so desperately longing for and missing for more than a decade. After applying the method for yourself, you'll begin experiencing the most powerful, long-lasting, and full erections of your life, no matter what age you are, whether you struggle with full-blown ED, or just want to add a surge of vitality to your sex life. Now, if you're thinking this sounds crazy or too good to be true, I completely understand. I used to be just like you, thinking the only possible way to address my ED was by paying thousands of dollars per year to big drug conglomerates like Pfizer, even as they continue to make billions of dollars off of our embarrassing and anxiety-causing situation. So all I ask right now is that you stick with me for the next 5 minutes as I give you the science behind the ED curing method I'll be sharing in this video, and show you why the secret method that Big Pharma would absolutely kill to keep you from knowing can ultimately and rapidly give you the life-changing confidence of naturally enjoying erections on demand. That's exactly what's already happened for 97,921 across America. People like Mark P. of Gulf Breeze, Florida, who says, "Hearing that there was a completely natural way of getting an erection whenever I wanted, without taking pills, seemed pretty unbelievable to me. After all, I could cure my ED without anything but some grocery store items. Why didn't I already know about this?" Well, because I was getting tired of spending $10 per pill on the pharmaceutical ED drugs, and because my love life had been suffering pretty mightily as a consequence of that decision, I decided to say, what the hell, and give your method a try. Jason, I'm so glad I did. Within 48 hours, I was getting the fullest, most powerful erections of my life. I'm not kidding, it was incredible. Now my wife can't keep her hands off of me, and that's not a problem at all because I can respond to her as many times as I want, even several times a day. And Raymond Maddox of Virginia Beach, Virginia, who says, "Before I found your website, I was miserable. To say my sex life with my wife has been bad would be the understatement of the century. It was more or less non-existent. The problem was that I couldn't take ED pills because of some chest pains I'd had in the past, and they left me with few other options. I tried some herbal extracts that they sell in this men's health section of the pharmacy, but when I looked at the ingredients, I realized they were nothing but a bunch of scary chemicals that were also side effect heavy. That's what makes the natural ED curing method you share in your presentation so special. I don't have to go buy any weird pills. I simply follow it and get results. Really massive results, if you catch my drift. It saved my marriage and has given me my wife back. Thanks." And Luke McGraw of Joplin, Missouri, who writes, "As a recently divorced man, being intimate for the first time with a woman other than my ex was incredibly nerve-wracking. I'd hoped that maybe when the time actually came, I'd forget all about that and I'd be fine, but I wasn't. On 3 different occasions, I had a woman I was dating want to get intimate with me, and in each of these cases, I simply was too nervous and anxious to perform. It was humiliating, and with each failure, I became even more terrified that it would happen again the next time, like a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's why I was so blown away when I watched your video and discovered that there was a simple way to guarantee that my member would always be ready to perform, even if I was super nervous and afraid. I started doing exactly what you said to do in the presentation, and sure enough, the very next time I had an intimate encounter, I had no trouble getting it up, even though I was really nervous. I'm so relieved to know that no matter what happens, I'll still be able to perform. Now I no longer feel anxious, and I can enjoy sex and have fun, which is the way it's supposed to be. Thanks, Jason. Those are just a few of the almost 100,000 people who have already used what they learned in this video to permanently cure their ED and gain erections on demand, often in as little as 48 hours. Now I'm going to explain exactly how the method I've discovered works in just a second, but before I do, I know you're probably extremely curious about who I am and how I know what I know. Well, as I said, my name is Jason Long. I'm 56 years old and I live in Long Beach, California. And about 4 years ago, my wife cut off my penis with a razor-sharp butcher's knife. It happened on her 50th birthday, May 13th, 2010. As you can perhaps imagine, she was less than thrilled with the idea of turning 50 and had been acting depressed about the whole thing for the last several months. I hated seeing her so miserable, and so I'd put aside an entire month's salary to buy her a pair of exquisite diamond earrings, which I hoped would help her feel better. Originally, my plan was to give her these earrings when I took her out to dinner that night. But as the workday dragged on, I became more and more anxious to give her the present I'd spent so much money on and to see her smile. So at around 2:30 p.m., I left work and headed home to surprise her. I parked out on the street so that she wouldn't hear my car and know I was home. Then, as quiet as a mouse, I snuck through the side door, through the family room and towards the kitchen. But something wasn't right. From the kitchen, I heard my wife sobbing. It startled me and caused me to pause for a moment. And then I heard her say the words that hurt me more than anything else I'd ever experienced in my life, either physically or emotionally. She was on the phone with her best friend Pam, and what she was talking about was me. Of course I love him, she said. We've been married for 28 years. It's not a matter of love. It's a matter of how unfulfilled I am. He just can't perform like he used to, you know? He rarely wants to have sex anymore, and I think it's because he's afraid he won't be able to get an erection even if he wants to. I don't know if it's because he isn't attracted to me anymore or what. It makes me feel ugly and unwanted, and now I no longer want to even try to have sex with him. But maybe it's not me. He's getting older. I think part of it is that he's just not the man he used to be. I guess it's something I need to deal with, that I'll be sexually frustrated and unfulfilled for the rest of my life. And of course it's upsetting because deep down I do know that I am still attractive. To be honest, other men approach me and hit on me all the time. Obviously I'd never do anything, but I can't say I don't like the attention. And even more than that, I can't help but wonder what it would be like to be with a real man who had a strong sex drive. A man who didn't have to worry about even getting an erection in the first place. A man who could really satisfy me, rather than Jason. It felt as if she just chopped off my manhood. It was that excruciatingly painful. Slowly, I crept back out of the house, got back in my car, drove to the nearest shopping center, and sat in the parking lot for more than 2 hours, tears in my eyes, struggling to breathe. To hear her talk that way was shocking, but the more I thought about it and the more honest with myself that I was, the more I realized I shouldn't have been so surprised. What she was saying was true. I've been having a harder and harder time getting and maintaining an erection over the past few years. The ED pills I used did help some, but they came with so many negative drawbacks. For one thing, they were incredibly expensive. I was paying $7.50 or more a dose, which worked out to hundreds of dollars a month and thousands of dollars per year. Spare cash I simply didn't have laying around. That's not to mention the embarrassment of buying those pills in the first place, or the fact that they gave me stomach cramps, nausea, and other side effects. I felt like I either had to force myself to have sex with my wife or avoid it entirely. And because my confidence was so shaken, I became more and more afraid of being intimate. I didn't want to use pills, but it seemed like my most important part just wouldn't work without them, which left both me and my wife feeling extremely unsatisfied. Now I should mention really quickly that it wasn't always like this. In my 20s, I've been well known for my vigor and vitality. I could go all night, and both the women I was with before getting married and my wife afterwards would comment on how much they loved being intimate with me. I don't know about you, but for me, having sex on a daily or bi-daily basis, being able to last as long as I wanted and to give my lover multiple orgasms, had always been a huge point of pride. So what the hell happened? How did I go from a rock star in the bedroom to a total dud? Was it just aging? Was something wrong with me? I really didn't know, which is why after hearing my wife on the phone, I made the desperate decision to spend every waking moment of my time looking for a solution for my erectile dysfunction. Studying how things like Viagra and other prescription pills for ED really worked, and exploring any possible alternatives that wouldn't make me sick, nauseous, and broke. I conducted all of this research in utter secrecy, coming home from work around 5:30 p.m. and locking myself in the office until well after midnight. And during this time, my relationship with my wife suffered even more. She didn't know what I was doing, and even though I made up all kinds of excuses and white lies, she was growing more and more scared that I was hiding from her because I no longer loved her. The best I could do was reassure and continue on. I told myself that if I could figure something out, some natural way to cure my ED, it would all be worth it. Because no matter what people say, you already know that sex is a vital component of your relationship at any age. It's what brings you and your loved one together. It strengthens your relationship. And it lets her know that you are just as crazy about her now as you were on the first day you asked her out. Well, at first, my research moved extremely slowly, and there were a lot of dead ends. I looked at low-T therapies and realized they were basically worthless when it comes to helping with ED. That's because despite what the radio and TV ads say, or what other doctors will tell you, according to Columbia University Department of Urology, only 5% of all ED cases come from low testosterone. Plus, even if I did happen to be in the tiny minority of people whose ED would be helped by low-T injections or treatments, I would have to pay about $250 per injection, more than $2,000 over the course of a full treatment cycle. And that still didn't take into consideration the fact that scientists are increasingly linking low-T injections and gels to prostate cancer and heart attacks, causing FDA to consider banning them. Of course, I looked at standard erectile dysfunction pills like Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, along with a dozen less well-known ones. But besides the fact that they were all incredibly expensive and that I'd already experienced some of the less serious side effects when using these medications in the past, there were just so many other severe, life-threatening side effects associated with these drugs that using them terrified me. Take a look for yourself. And that's just a partial list of those side effects. I also looked at exercising because I'd always read that doing cardio was important for blood circulation. But the link between exercise and the ability both to get and maintain erections at will is non-existent. I mean, think about it. There's definitely no exercise that's specifically designed to help with your ED, right? So while going to the gym might be food for me overall, it definitely wasn't going to provide the solution I was looking for. By the end of my first month of research, all I had to show for my efforts was a sense of hopelessness and the desire to give up. I started to think that maybe I was just destined to live out the rest of my life in sexual frustration. That maybe I should accept the fact that my wife might leave me, or have an affair. In my most depressed moments, I thought maybe I should even tell her to go cheat on me, so that at least it wouldn't be a shock to me when she did it anyways. But then I remembered the phone conversation I'd overheard. The way she cried. How she no longer felt like I was a real man. How humiliated I was. And I knew that I had to do absolutely everything in my power to reclaim my vitality, regain my self-respect, and save my marriage, both for my wife and for me. So I kept pushing forward and kept digging deeper and deeper. And thank God I did, because even though I didn't know it at the time, the breakthrough I'd been praying for was right around the corner. Something that would ultimately give me the ability to achieve powerful and long-lasting erections virtually on demand, and that has since helped more than 97,000 people to experience the exact same incredible results. So first, let me tell you quickly how this revelation came about. After a frustrating first month of studying ED, medications, low-T treatments, exercise programs, and even over-the-counter extracts like X-Tens and VitalMale, I decided that I needed to go back to basics and spend less time looking at the treatments for ED and more time looking at what actually causes our erection issues in the first place. So I began studying everything from biology and anatomy textbooks to academic journals, medical articles, and published studies. And that's when things really started to click for me. You see, I realized that despite what Big Pharma and the supplement manufacturers want you to think, ED really isn't a big mystery. It's actually really straightforward, and I'll tell you why right now. First, without getting too high school sex ed on you, let's look at how an erection actually works. We'll call the next 10 seconds Erection 101. And here we go. 1. Your penis has two chambers inside of it, and they are collectively referred to as the corpora cavernosa. The corpora cavernosa runs the length of the organ and contains a maze of blood vessels shaped like cavernous spaces. When the blood vessels of the corpora cavernosa relax and open up, blood rushes in through the arteries to fill them. That blood then gets trapped under high pressure, creating an erection. Easy, right? The blood vessels in your penis relax and open up. Blood rushes in and gets trapped in your penis, and the pressure causes an erection. That's basically all that an erection is. Now, the reason I just told you all of this is that unless you understand how an erection works, you won't be able to understand the biology behind ED. So let's give you another quicker primer, and we'll call this one ED 101. Don't worry, this one is even easier to understand, I promise. 1. In cases where you're struggling to get an erection, maintain an erection, or where the erection you get is somewhat flimsy and less than full. 2. The vessels in your penis aren't relaxing fully, which means blood can't get into your penis and cause an erection. That's it. Seriously, that's the one cause of virtually all erection issues, period. It's not mental. Scientific researchers at Columbia and other Ivy League universities have already proven that in study after study. It's simply an issue of the vessels in your member not letting blood flow in. Now, this is all fairly common knowledge, although again the multi-billion-dollar erectile dysfunction industry wishes it wasn't. They want you to believe that erection issues are something that can't be helped unless you take their insanely expensive and heart attack-causing pills. But the more I started thinking about this, the less sense it made to me why we would need to depend on pills or medications. There's got to be a natural way to relax those blood vessels, I thought to myself. And with that, I began digging through 2,000 years of ancient remedies. I made an exhaustive list of weird but supposed aphrodisiacs, like deer antlers, water lilies, and eel. And I used myself as a human guinea pig, testing virtually every single option available to me. Well, I'm sorry to say that most of the ancient herbal remedies I tried didn't seem to do anything but make me anxious, sweaty, and nauseous. Those included both the herbal blends you can order online and a lot of strange extracts you can buy at the health food store. I also tried Eastern breathing exercises, meditation, and yoga. Those things relaxed me some, but certainly didn't help me get or maintain erections. So it was another dead end when it came to all of the ancient Eastern medicine and herb things. But rather than give up, I next shifted my focus to modern-day biology. And through seemingly endless research, I began to realize that there were literally dozens of enzymes, amino acids, and other natural chemicals that are either already inside of our bodies or that are contained in many common foods and supplements you can buy at the supermarket. That have been scientifically proven in study after study to relax blood vessels in your body while increasing blood volume. All of which meant that if I could find the right combination of these naturally occurring biological building blocks and figure out how to get them into my body in the correct way, it only made sense that they would immediately improve my ability to generate and maintain erections, both in the short term and in the long term. Because remember, all it takes to get an erection is relaxed blood vessels, which then allow the blood to flow in and create pressure in your member. So I write out all of those foods and supplements that I researched, the ones that contained the different enzymes and amino acids that were shown to relax blood vessels and increase blood flow, and I went shopping. And that very first night I started testing out different dietary combinations and writing down each one in my journal. Well, as you can probably guess by now, the going was slow, and I initially tried out somewhere between 40 and 50 different food supplement combinations with zero noticeable results. But even though I wasn't getting the results I felt like I should have, I kept pushing forward. After all, it just made too much sense why this should work, and I really had zero other options. And then on August 20th, 2010, it happened. I was sitting at my computer desk, writing down the food supplement combination I planned to try for the following day, when I suddenly realized that I was getting extremely hard. Within a minute, I had one of the largest, most swollen erections I'd ever had in my life, even stronger than when I was a teenager. And you're going to laugh, but the first thing I did was run to the kitchen and find my wife. She didn't know what the hell was going on or what had gotten into me, but I was so insistent that we go to the bedroom, and she was probably so relieved that I was actively trying to be intimate with her that she didn't complain. And over the next hour, we proceeded to have what was hands down the best sex we'd had in 20 years. I was pulsing the entire time, and she could feel it. And once we were done, she asked me what